If you were to prioritize one pain point for your audience and you want to solve that in 2025,
if we need to change from not only looking at the past, but use the past to predict the future, and do that while you are trying to bridge the gap between various on different silos within the organization.
but it also depends on how they engage online. So what are the trends that you see these days?
Trend here for us being the importer of Volkswagen Group brands and distributing and selling them directly or indirectly via our dealers to customers is what I could label as ROPO, research online, purchase offline.
Welcome to the Digital Customer Experience Podcast by Kiosk. I'm your host, Daniel Paul. This podcast is brought to you by Kiosk, a leading SaaS company dedicated to driving measurement growth through exceptional sales, marketing, and customer success interactions. Joining us today is the man, the legend, the myth himself, Morten Friis-Olsen, the Chief Marketing Officer at Semler Group. Morten led the launch of Audi e-tron and has a knack for integrating technology with automotive marketing. And he is a man with a lot of ideas, a lot of techniques, and he knows how to lead teams and get deals closed. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. What an introduction. Appreciate to
We're
be
super
here.
happy to have you here because we know a lot about Denmark. We've had guests from Denmark, and we've always looked up to winter games and like Denmark, Norway, Sweden. These three countries, or even Finland as well, are competing with each other when it comes to let's say winter games, especially skiing part, right? And always Norway is like winning on top of 1, 2, 3. How good is your skiing, and how is Denmark in general when it comes to skiing?
Well, a lot of people they think that we're good at skiing in Denmark, that we have snow and then we have mountains. But the thing is that we actually don't. But even though that's the thing here in Denmark, sometimes we have snow, but we're not a skiing nation. A lot of people they go to Norway, they go to Sweden, they go to the Alps, but professionally and winning medals at the Olympics, we're not that good. But personally, I love to go skiing. I do cross country skiing. I've done a lot of races throughout Europe on Greenland, but compared to Norway and Sweden and even Finland, we are in the second division, maybe even the third division.
Well, let me just dive in because you've said you've traveled across Europe doing cross country skiing. What is that one country that blows you away every time you go there to ski?
Well, definitely Italy. They have this, laid back thing going on when they're skiing. You have the mountains, you have the coffee when you have the break. It's not that cold like it is in Scandinavia. So if you can, you should go to Italy to go skiing, definitely.
Which part of Italy, to be specific?
Well, in the Alps, when you go cross country skiing, they in Canacé, if you've heard about that, they have
Yeah.
a great cross country track there, and also they have a race called Marsilonga. It's kind of like the Vasaloppet of Italy. I've done that. It's a great experience. You come into the small towns, and when you've been skiing 70 k's, you're tired, and they just cheer for you, and it's amazing experience.
Interesting, very interesting, and thank you for sharing this. Now let's get a little bit into your personal information and insight. Can you share what initially sparked you to have this interest towards combining technology with the automotive industry?
So when I joined Semler 7 years ago, I was as a boy grew up being interested in cars, and I've been working by attracting people, finances, banks, whatever, to come to Copenhagen, to attract businesses to Copenhagen. And there I learned how to, engage with a lot of digital components in order for us to go out and spread the word about Copenhagen being the most livable city in the world. And suddenly I had a lot in my about that, in my backpack about technological frameworks, apps, solutions, which I wanted to take from one industry to another industry. And then the opportunity came that I could come in and be the head of marketing for Audi here at Semler. So that's where it really started around 7-8 years ago.
Let's touch a little bit about your background. You said that you're promoting Copenhagen. And how has that influenced your approach at Semler? Because that's not a technology or that's not an automotive industry. What is that you took from that experience that you're now implementing at Semler's?
Yeah, so I used to work like nearly 10 years for the city of Copenhagen, or the municipality of Copenhagen, the greater region of Copenhagen, at Wonderful Copenhagen, the official tourist organization of Greater Copenhagen, and also for a company called Copenhagen Capacity. So our job was to attract businesses and finances on the back of especially Brexit in
Mm,
2016, using a lot of techniques in order for us, because we didn't have a lot of money. So we need
yeah.
to be wiser, to beat the big cities out there, to have people come and live and work, highly educated, highly skilled people, employees come and work for Danish companies in the greater area of Copenhagen. So I learned a lot there, and I worked for the city for 10 years nearly. And then, yeah, when you come to a point where you say, okay, now I want to try something else. So the automotive industry have always interested me, and then the opportunity came. And then you realize suddenly that, okay, you think that the automotive industry is far ahead in comparison of what you can bring to the table, but you realize that what you can take from one industry to another industry will actually level not only your game, but also the industry game for the automotive industry, especially here in Denmark. So even though Denmark is a very tech savvy and digitized society, the industry as a whole was back in 5-8 years ago a bit conservative. But then just like when the AI came in and new drivetrains with the BEV cars, battery electric vehicles, it's just went sky high rocket in terms of involving digital trends and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's very interesting to be in this position right now. It's every day it's a new thing.
It's very interesting that you talked about the influx of AI in digital trends and digital strategy. What's the Semler's approach to enhance digital customer experience? Because literally every company or every industry is now being transformed with AI, with latest digital trends. What's Semler's approach?
So Semler is the importer of the Volkswagen Group brands, and it's an umbrella organization encompassing all businesses areas within the import of these brands: agricultural machinery, retail businesses, innovative mobility solutions. But if we look at the importer perspective, where I'm sitting here, the automotive distribution market faces numerous challenges: environmental urgencies, regulatory frameworks, and, as we are going to speak about, involving consumer expectations. So
Yeah.
we aim to be the most digital customer-centric provider of mobility solutions, basically to provide mobility solutions that add value to consumers' lives. So by embracing the current digital trends as a whole in society, and adapting our online strategy accordingly, we at Semler can, across our brands, effectively engage with our customers and building strong relationships and drive business growth in this evolving digital landscape. So here at Semler, at least in the importer division, successful CX, or the CX department is part of the marketing department under my helm. So successful here is that we manage to capitalize on the holistic picture of the consumers.
Yeah.
In a reality, we need to be sure and acknowledge that the decentralization in the physically, the digital, and organizational sphere is ever present. So we are talking about here, how do you bridge the gap in the fragmentation in the customer journey? Should it be only
Yeah.
seen as is it a challenge, or should it also be to be seen as an opportunity to create what we could label as customer evangelism? So turning fragmentation into evangelism. And so that's why, or that is what I try to do with my teams and with the technical tools we have at our hands.
As the chief marketing officer, you would have a lot of tasks at hand, managing a lot of people, a lot of priorities going on to different projects and tasks. If you were to prioritize one pain point for your audience and you want to solve that in 2025, what would be that one pain point that you would try to solve?
Well, that would definitely be, putting our customers in the center of everything we do. A lot of people talk about it, a lot of businesses talk about it, but it's so difficult to do. So because if I could, or if we could, because it's a we thing here at Semler, it's not only me, but if we could manage to do so, bridge the gap between the customers interacting with our brands through various touch points, websites, social media, dealerships, whatever. If we could bridge the fragmentation gap, not because we should, tear down the silos, because we can't. It's part of the organizational psychology and structure. But if we could bridge the gap, I would be very happy, and I would be sure that we could, do a lot of horizontal growth for not only the brands, for the group itself.
That's a very valid point, and this is something that I hear often leaders talk and trying to solve. But apart from this pain point, what are the major challenges currently that's facing in your role or in automotive industry in general?
Well, there's a lot of challenges, and it goes back to the centralized customer data point, because there's so many touch points for the customers when they interact with us from the importer perspective, with the dealers when they interact with each other. So how do you listen to all these customers? How do we get this feedback from the customers going into our systems? So what is basically on here is that we need to be better to work together as an organization. It's not that we don't work together, but you can always be better. So especially here for CX and marketing, which what I'm doing, we need to become the new best friends with the BI, business intelligence. So because many companies are already using data to understand past trends, but they're missing a huge opportunity by not focusing on the prediction of the future. So by shifting their mindset, making small adjustments to their data processes and how they look at data, how they have it in dashboards, how they talk about data. One can unlock the power of forecasting and scenario planning. So this allows us, at least here at Semler, to proactively adapt to change and shape our future in the evolving digital future of not only the automotive industry, but in the industry, or in industries in general. So if we need to change from not only looking at the past, but use the past to predict the future, and do that while you are trying to bridge the gap between various on different silos within the organization, you have come a long way in meeting the customers on a one-to-one and with them.
Yeah, well said. And because this also involves a lot to do with customers and customers' preferences, what are the trends that you're observing in customer engagement? Because you have to fix the problem for the customers, but it also depends on how they engage online.
Yeah.
So what are the trends that you see these days?
My general belief is that what attracts people the most at a company or within brands, it would appear, is other people, because people experience. So you cannot go full online, but nor can you go full blown offline or analog, rejecting the power and ever presence of opportunities in the online world. So the trend here for us, being the importer of the Volkswagen Group brands, and distributing and selling them directly or indirectly via our dealers to the customers, is what I could label as ROPO, research online, purchase offline. So customers heavily rely on the online resources to research vehicles before visiting a dealership. So we have seen, people are using much more time now researching on the cars, so they are better equipped. They know more about the models, the way of ownership, and everything about the car when they enter the dealers. So they are more hot leads when they enter the dealers. So for us, it's necessity for us to be all over the internet, so to speak, to be there where they are. So there's also, we need to, coming back to bridging the gap talk here too, it's a seamless transaction between online and offline. So customers expect, a consistent experience across all the touch points, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult for us also. So what we do is that we try to, map everything with what you can imagine could be a touch point for a potential consumer, or a consumer and a potential customer. So, the life of the consumer within mobility. What are their needs when they are here? What are their needs when they are here? What do they say when they are here? What are they met by in terms of messaging? How can they convert themselves? Should they be able to convert themselves here or not? So we did a study last year, where we basically mapped every touch point we have, meeting the dealers and our own dealers and the importer division here, sitting down, basically making a physical map and say, okay, you come in, what should you be exposed to here? You then do this, you do this, you do this and that, and then you have various ways where you can go, and you need to put also on top of that, are you in the market for a new car? Are you in the market for a used car? Do you have a car? You need to have it on the lift for services. So there's a lot of ways in which we meet our customers and potential customers, the consumers, every day. And just to what I'm also in charge of is the digital sales of cars. So just like, we sell cars at dealers, we sell them directly from our website. And it came to my surprise this year, we did a test in 2024. Out of 500 orders on online private leasing on our websites across our brands, and our brands are Volkswagen, Audi, Skoda, Seat,
Yeah.
Cupra, and so on and so forth, we only saw 6 test drives made by the customers. So people, I used to think that you go down, you research your car, you test drive it, and then you go and buy it at the dealers. So now the
Yeah.
ones who buy their cars online, they rely on your brand. If the price is right, if we have, this sweet spot between brand, model, and availability, we see there's no need for a test drive, at least for these kind of people. So how does that, affect your organization? So you need to think completely differently from what you have done beforehand. So that's very exciting, and my belief is that in this year, 2025, we will only see more of that.
I learned a lot just by listening to you, but I've never heard of ROPO. I've heard of mapping, but you in detail explaining how the mapping works to understand the before, the after, the future is just exceptional. I wish I could see the whole map to see how it works in the automotive industry. It's all bits and
Yeah,
pieces that you hear from guests. Like, I'm like, wow, how interesting must this be to get the data, to see what's working? What is the
yeah.
link that's missing? So that's amazing that you shared this with us. With that being said, there must be some strategy. Like every company, every business has a strategy that works specifically for them. What are some of the strategies or technologies that have been particularly effective at Semblers?
Yeah, in 2020, when we had the COVID-19 lockdown, I was
Yep,
sitting back home to see, it gave you maybe for a lot of us, an opportunity to rethink on our business. What should we do? What have we done? And what could
yep.
we potentially do differently? So what I wanted, or what we did, was trying to start by implementing a unique progressive profiling permission setup, which was
Mm,
enabling us to see who are on the market, of which brand, recognize the fact we have these 5-6 brands. What are they in market for? Which kind of drivetrains, BEV cars, diesel, gasoline cars? How do they want to own the car? Private leasing, rental, short-term leasing? Do they want to buy it? So today, we have between 15 and 20% of the Danish consumers in our systems who we are
Yeah.
constantly getting to know better by tracking their behavior. And that is behavior online. That is their transactional behavior when they become customers. And that's also they answer questions about their basic needs. We have a zero party and first party data strategy, and the zero party data is data that a customer or consumer intentionally and proactively shares with a company. In this occasion, it's with us, Semler, in the brands. So we get feedback on customer behavior based on 23 brand neutral questions, whether they are in market, the demographics, the behavior, the awareness of our services and our brands, and of course also about the need. So what we do is we aim to create an additional knowledge, and thus giving us more value from our permissions. Then it's not only an email, which we can send an email to, and we can hash the email and use it in third-party data platforms like Meta, LinkedIn, Google, whatever. But it gives us the opportunity to provide relevant offers at the right time to the right person, and it kind of like functions as Lego building blocks, which through engagement enrich the permission by constantly answering these questions within the 5 categories. And the logic in the system ensures that every individual permission, which is one person, is always presented with a new question across the brand and across the occasion or where they are in their funnel. So and on top of that, we implemented an application called Sales Wings. So Sales Wings is a software as a service platform, a SaaS platform that helps businesses understand their leads and customers' digital behavior to improve sales and marketing effectiveness. So we use it as a tracking tool rather than an actual sales tool. You can use it as both. But you need to think of it as a tool that provides you X-ray vision into the prospects' minds, allowing you to see what interests them and how they interact with your brand online. And it's just used to use it within sponsorships. We had a lot of sponsorship with football clubs, festivals, but now we actually use it on all our marketing activities. So whenever we get in a permission who signs up on having a newsletter, whatever, participating in a competition, we get that hook. They say yes to our permission or consent, cookie consent, permission text, and then we start progressive profiling them. And it's just it has saved us a lot of money, and we are better off by sending them relevant messages wherever they are. So what we do now is that in order for us to maintain the consistency and alignment across our digital and in-person touch points, we try to bridge the gap from the digital world to the analog world. But it's one of the most difficult disciplines that exist in the business today. So it will be a 2025, 26 challenge.
Well, that's beautifully explained. And now jumping into technology and understanding how the businesses are using software as services, what I've been hearing these days is people are using a lot of AI chatbots, AI agents, to make sure they get enough data, to make sure they fast track the process and understand the customers, like the knowledge base, saving all of them. Does Semler use any of these AI integrations into your system to understand the customers better?
Yeah, we of course, there's a lot of AI integration in the systems we use. We use Salesforce, Marketing Cloud, Service Cloud, uh, and other Salesforce applications, and we also have that in other of our technical platforms. But here at Semler, we have a vision that all employees will use or should use or be able to use, because we're on a different level here, AI tools where it makes sense.
Yeah.
So to make our work faster, better, and more enjoyable, and that's already possible today. We have AI tools designed to ease our workday by automating routine tasks and being a helpful sparring partner. And I believe that's, or at least it should be the case for many businesses within the automotive industry. What we have done in terms of CX is that we have this sentiment analysis of our customer service center, enabling us to evaluate, categorize customer sentiment and attitudes based on the written and verbal interactions. And this may, or it's always also involving using, machine learning techniques to analyze the feedback for us to, go from there. So what we actually experience is that when enabling AI here, we're better off to see the customer came in and we talked with them and how did we lead them, and also to take that feedback into our marketing funnel and use it when we meet the customers again. And it's very difficult. The last part of it, it's actually not easy, but it's doable to have this sentiment analysis. But it's very difficult to embed these feedbacks from the customers in your dialogue with them going forward when you meet them online, not when they call you again at the customer service center, because then you have all of it in your CRM system. But when you take that information and utilize it wherever needed in your organization, on the digital platforms, internally, externally, has in third-party platforms, if you unlock that, you are you're world champion. And it's difficult. We also have other assistants. We have our own AI assistant helping the employees here at the headquarters and also at the dealers in formulate good customer responses, and the responses are based on available data and fit into the ongoing conversation. And we also, what I aim to do is, based on all the data we get in, is going on a NBO NBA approach. NBA is next best action. So Daniel, you are here. You have said this to us. You have clicked that. You have this transactional relationship with us. If you have one, if we see you as a customer, maybe you're only a consumer. So based on all the data we have, based on all those who look like you digitally, what should be the next offer for us from us to you in order to get you converting? Either you should convert digitally, book a test drive, download a price list, or go and visit the dealer, or you should also be able to buy the car online. Or should it be, are we there in the funnel, low funnel communication? It's not an NBA, next best action. It's actually the NBO, the next best offer. Taking all the data we have, saying that, well, right now you're here and you have shown interest for that product or that way of owning the car, and you also have this car. So maybe if you sell this car, you can convert your own mobility ownership and relationship with us into a new car, and it's even cheaper for you. So and that should also be an aim for us in 2025, 26 going on, that we need to be there where the customer are, based on their beliefs and what they're doing and the relationship we have with them, and convert them into new mobility solutions, also in order to be on track or maybe on the forefront on churning. So there we're talking about loyalty. How do you create loyal customers? It is that you have this prediction that we won't see Daniel on our service station after 3 years, because then his car is older and maybe he might have sold it, or he might go to a cheaper service station. We don't know. So we actually be on front of whatever you do or whatever you could think of be doing when you own a car.
Yeah.
So that's also how you can and we will, in a much greater extent, use AI in the years to come. We are still, like many businesses, we're still on, this crawl, walk, run. So we start crawling, and now I think we are walking, and in a few years' time, hopefully, we will be running around and optimizing our business even further with the help of AI and machine learning throughout the
Thank you.
organization.
Thank you very much, Morten. We're almost coming to the end of the podcast. I want to ask you a very important question. What advice would you give to the leaders looking to improve digital customer experience so that they can sell more?
I would start with you. Start with yourself. If you're in my position in a similar organization or in an organization, it could be within every industry. Acknowledge that digital change and improvement cannot be done without external partners. So we have external
Yeah.
partners, and also that you need to have internally digital believers within the sales department, because you cannot do it without you have ambassadors running around in your own organization. So you need to
Yeah.
team up with internal ambassadors, and you need to team up with external partners. And when you meet the resistance, because you will in the organization, it's not because of you. It's merely because of the lack of understanding of what you bring to the table sometimes, and the
Yeah.
way you explain it. But then just keep going, keep pushing, and then try to explain it in other words and say that basically I'm here to help you. I'm not here to take your job. I'm not here to do anything that shouldn't put us in a better position in the years to come. So that's my advice, that you need to explain, and once you think that you've done that many times, you need to do it again. Keep pushing, say the same things over and over again, and then someday, and I've realized and experienced that myself, you'll see the progress within the organization, and that's very satisfying to see that.
I'm very glad to hear this thing from you, saying, say the same thing again and again. In a book called Show Your Work by Austin Kleon, he says this beautifully. Everything that needs to be said is already said, but no one was listening. Say it again one more time. Thank you
Definitely.
so much, Morten, for educating us, entertaining us, and telling a lot about Semler, your journey, talking about leadership, mapping out the whole process, talking about rapport, talking about skiing. Hopefully, Denmark joins the skiing race and tries to beat Norway, and also in general having the passion for marketing and sales and the automotive industry. We were so happy to have you in our podcast.
Thank you. Very pleased to be here, and thank you for a great conversation with you, Daniel. Thank you.
Amazing. And for our audience, thank you for watching this. If you like this episode, please follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and all the information about Mortar and Semler will be tagged in the comment section. Until then, it's me, Danny, signing off from your podcast, and make sure you keep inspiring and innovating. Thank you very much.